DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
I think so.
Good evening, everyone. It is a lovely Tuesday night here on the Upper Tundra. We are celebrating above zero temperatures, and Ben Stowe is out. Ben, where are you?
I am currently in an arena where we are setting up for hailstorm and stone sour. So I'm literally just kind of propped myself in the corner. You can see some activity behind me, and that's where I'm at. I came inside a hockey arena to warm up.
Well, on the positive side, you're going to have one of our True North DJs going to be there tomorrow night to hang out with you if you're going to be doing production and such there.
Oh, good. So the pressure's on. All right.
Yeah. So,
it wasn't pressured until now, but I apologize. I'm just trying to get these in-ears in here. They're not my custom molds. They're just some disposable ones.
Yep, just some quickie.
Shouldn't say disposable. They're the Sennheiser IEM 4s, but
yep, just get them all adjusted. So for tonight's show, we're going to, and for some reason the Facebook side isn't going to be going live for another 5 to 7 minutes, so they're going to miss the beginning. That's their problem.
That's all right. They didn't miss anything except me trying to shove these things in my ears.
Yeah, that's always attractive too. So we'll go with that. But tonight's show, we've got some questions that a lot of you have been sending in. You've been asking questions and such, in the chats and in different areas. And this is the night where we're going to catch up on some of those questions. And I have 10 of those that I have pulled aside. Every once in a while, probably about every 2 months, we like to do this and just throw questions at Ben that he has absolutely no idea they're coming or what they're going to be. So this is
right.
always.
Hey, you want to see me reenact the Super Bowl?
Yes, go ahead, please.
There you go.
Just like that.
Mine was gum, though. It wasn't a lozenge. I just realized I had it in my mouth.
Yeah, you got that. I was thinking you were going to somehow tie this is a Tide ad into it and, try to make it so.
Oh, I'm not that clever. I didn't think about that.
Because, your shirt does look clean from this perspective, so, we can go with that.
That's why we wear black. It always looks clean.
Okay, just hang on. I'm going to try to bring... Ben, give me a little audio.
Give you a little audio.
Okay.
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, I'm just bringing you way up.
Bring the mic up here a little bit. We got our little...
Beep, beep, beep. Is that what I heard in the background?
Yep. I can bring the mic a little closer to me if that helps.
There you go. That should get us. You sound louder in my ears.
I got our fancy... Well, it's the inverse square law. We've just reduced the distance, so, it is...
And ironically, none of the questions that we have will encounter the inverse square law. Well, I shouldn't say that. I can't imagine they will, but that doesn't mean you won't get there in one way, shape, or form. We're getting all set here now. We'll be ready to roll here in just a moment.
Are you hearing that, John?
Yeah, it's there, but it's not too bad. It sounds worse for you than it does for us. Turn it up to 11. No, this isn't an EV speaker ad.
Yeah. Boy, that's not good. Let's just see here. Yeah, it's still coming. Are you hearing that, John?
What are you hearing?
I've got a major static coming through here in my headset.
Oh, no. You sound great now.
You're not hearing it?
No, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the clanking of them back there. I don't think it's coming from my board here.
What happens here? Yeah, it's still there.
It's still there. So if I shut this, ladies and gentlemen, this is part of doing live video. Things happen. Ben, if I shut.
Do you have my audio right now?
Yeah.
Yep, you do. Okay. All right. I'm using a little Shure Thunderbolt interface, and
if I shut my mic off, do you lose it?
Got a little noise there, I guess. So, all right, let's see here. Say something for me, John.
Hello.
Say something else.
How are we doing? Are we finally?
There we go. Hey, we're back.
We're finally there. Yay!
Some weird magnetic anomaly just blew my ears out. So.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't think it was me.
No. I think it's, like I said, we were using a little Shure iPhone interface here. So.
Sure.
And I don't know if that was the cause, but
yeah,
certainly.
It's so hard to tell when a person's got all the wireless devices.
Yeah, no doubt. And not like there isn't a bunch of stuff going on behind us.
Yeah. Well, that's when you were like, can you hear that? I was thinking, well, yeah, I can hear them clanking around, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's just, it's actually better than I thought it would be.
Massive, like, white noise. I mean, literally just, I had to pull them out right away.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that. I don't know what caused that, but well, we're good and we're going to run, so you can get back to it.
Yeah,
before we get to our 10 questions, Sean threw one in the chat room, and if you guys have got some questions, please get those, pop those into the chat, and we'll work those in throughout as we have been here for a few more minutes. And Sean's question, he was asking about...
so now it's 11.
It's 11 questions, that's right. But then I could take out the Star Wars questions.
Says 10.
The Star Wars questions, I take out the wrestling questions and the cooking questions.
No, don't take out Star Wars questions.
And then it takes us down to only 2 questions, so we're good. Intermodulation, interference, and wireless mics. How do you prevent intermodulation interference?
Frequency coordination. Good frequency coordination. Basically, we know what spacing causes intermod, and so we simply want to coordinate those things at intervals that won't create 3rd, 5th, 7th order harmonics and that sort of thing. So use software like IAS or Clearwaves, or Wireless Workbench, that sort of thing.
So on my Shure units, I've got where I can select, like there's 2 different numbers. I can select the first number and then the second number. So if I say in the group is like in 8, and then if I'm selecting, 8-4, would it be better for me to go like 8-3 or 8-2 with the second one, or would it be better for me to go out of the 8s?
Every instance, the wireless engineers who have built these systems have pre-programmed using known algorithms. They have pre-programmed groups and channels that will not create intermod. So, for example, if you keep all of your mics in group 8, channels 1, 2, 3, 4 should be just fine.
Okay.
Up to however many channels are in that group. Now, when you start mixing and matching groups, or you start mixing and matching wireless, then you're back to being dependent on software.
And that's what at NAMM this year, we saw a lot of receivers that had data ports in the back. Now, is that data port something that's designed to help this in sharing that information?
Well, that's, again, part of the thing where you can now propagate that down to multiple receivers from one receiver. We can scan and one receiver then becomes sort of the master that propagates that information down to the next. Is the truss banging bothering you?
No, we're good. We're good. I'm just following chat and listening, trying to listen at the same time. So
I could yell at him. So
yeah,
Stop being productive.
Yeah, don't you?
Stop getting the show done. We have a show here.
Let's see. Thomas asked if there was any special pricing on Evolve speakers, because you were talking about a lot of special pricing coming from NAMM.
Absolutely. Just give us a message. Reach out to us. Give us a call, myself or Katie or anybody at the office. Yes, absolutely. Now is a great time.
Okay. That sounds good.
Was that one of the official questions?
No, you're still
we're at 12 now.
You're at 10 now. Now you're at 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because two are done. All right.
Okay,
I don't
so
mind.
first
I'm
question.
loving it.
All
right, first official
First
question.
one was concerning the Super Bowl, and the question was, why does the Super Bowl audio stink when concerts at US Bank Stadium sound so good? Because some of the people, Shaney brought it up last night, and somebody asked the question. It's like, Ben would be good. Ask him. So, why did the sound stink?
I've heard some of the audio at US Bank concerts wasn't good too. And I couldn't answer that question. Obviously, it's a difficult thing when you're trying to mix for both the live audience and for broadcast. And certainly they use different desks for that. And certainly they had different mix engineers for that. But I don't know if it'd be appropriate for me to comment on why the audio wasn't good. I mean, we're talking about some other guys or gals work here,
Would it be something that the sound system that they're using in a place like US Bank Stadium for doing PA announcing, is that so different than a music playback system that would possibly be something that, the system's not designed for a live performance?
In many cases, but music is such a big part of the professional sports experience that these stadium systems are they're getting pretty good. They're not necessarily concert quality, but they brought in a lot of extra stuff too for the halftime show. They brought in a lot of extra PA. So maybe that's part of it. I mean, depending on where you're sitting and what efforts were done. And again, I don't know if I'd really want to make that comment.
Is there software because obviously when they set it up and then when you bring 70-some thousand people into the building, it's going to have a different sound. Is the software able to simulate bringing in 70,000 people, or is that just one of those things that a live audio mix has to take an account for once you get that many bodies in there?
I think it's both. There is software like Ease where we can put in, the various surfaces, and the software understands what coefficients those surfaces has and can model to a degree the result, to a very good degree. It can model the result. But I mean, that's why you have mix engineers too.
To get her there. Okay. Continuing on. The noise of trussing is soothing. Yeah. For everyone's looking at that massive amount of trussing back there, and they're kind of drooling. So
it's going to be a lot of points. We'll have riggers in the steel here shortly. So
it'll be fun.
You'll start seeing things go up.
Let's see. A person sent a message in. I'm having a tough time wrapping my head around DMX. Is there an easy way to think about it so that they can grasp it a little bit easier?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, today's modern software DMX controllers make it so easy to run DMX. You still have to have some fundamental understanding of the physical layer, the difference between DMX cables and mic cables. I mean, you don't really need to know the difference. You just need to know you should use DMX cables.
Sure.
I just had to kind of put that in because it just keeps coming up and I don't understand why. But as far as that goes, you don't really have to think in a binary sense anymore. You can do things very much from a point and click, and the software does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So I think so. I think this is certainly the easiest time ever to run DMX. We just have to understand how to address fixtures, and the software will just tell you, this is the address, and this is the address, and this is the address. And it takes a lot of the guesswork out. Most of the software packages will even show you what the dip switch settings for a fixture should be if your fixture still has dip switches, but almost every fixture now has LED or LCD screens. So I, with apologies to the viewer, and thanks for the question, I don't know how much easier we can make it at this point, unless the computer were to actually set your lights up for you too.
That would be awesome.
That would be fantastic.
Think of the time you'd save behind you right there. Yep.
Gosh. I was just trying to think how many universes of DMX lighting we have going up. A lot. More than 6 or 7 universes of DMX will be in the air.
Will that all be controlled by one computer or multiple computers, or
just one? Yeah, that's really nothing on the grand concert scale. That's still one. We use Grand MA. And we use a Grand MA too, and that's nothing. It'll handle that with ease.
Peter had a question in the chat. This would be 13.
Oh no, because you asked like 4 sub questions.
Is there a? Oh yeah,
We're just no longer even counting.
We don't even count the sub questions.
If I got paid by the question,
yeah. Good luck with that.
I could afford a soda.
Is there a max length that a person can have with DMX wire or DMX cable?
Yes. The number is somewhat subjective, though. I've been told up to 1,000 meters, which is about 3,300 feet, 3,280.
Wow.
However, that depends on 2 very important things. One, the quality of the DMX controller and the quality of the signal it's outputting. You're not going to get away with that with a $50 DJ controller, just not. But something like a Grandame 2 can push a long ways. 2, the quality of the DMX cable. That is very, very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
So, but with a quality controller and quality cable, you could go thousands of feet.
Wow. I did not know.
I would try to keep it under 1,000 feet. But here again, we see instances with an inexpensive controller and poor quality cable where you have failures in under 100 feet. And that just has to be understood. That's not a limitation of the DMX physical layer. That's a limitation of the equipment that was being used.
I did not know that you could go that far. Oops. Don't do that. Okay.
Is our crew working safe behind me?
They look good. They look good. They're doing well.
All the people in the black shirts and black hats are our crew. And actually, what's kind of neat is
there's somebody carrying a big hunk of truss. That's pretty awesome over the shoulder.
Yes, and that's actually one of the high school kids. We have a vocational program we started at our local high school, and the kids that are not wearing some of the kids that are not wearing the black shirts are high school kids, and they've gone through a safety program and they've been trained, and now they're giving this chance to sort of intern, if you will, at some of these shows. So it's pretty exciting that they're working alongside some of, our professional guys. And you'll see, I saw a couple of the crew from Hailstorm and Stone Sour walking around earlier. What a great opportunity for these kids to explore our industry vocationally.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were doing a rigging training, not with high schoolers. This is, more advanced, but yesterday we were doing a rigging training 60 feet over my head. So,
drop any cupcakes?
What's that?
Did you drop any cupcakes?
No, but you know what? We were just talking about that and saying we need to revisit that show, and we're going to get. I think this has to be not a live shoot, John. We'll do it with a couple of GoPros and some cameras on the ground, some slow motion cameras to catch the cupcake. I think we could have a lot of fun with this.
I think we could do not only catch the slow slow-mo of it is splatting. And then I think we should do we put a hat on Kat, or have her hold a bucket on her head, and then see if we can drop the cupcake and see if she can catch it.
Oh, as fun as that sounds, we never have anybody underneath when we're dropping things.
But cupcakes.
Normally we're not dropping things, but you'll notice every one of our crew is wearing a black hard hat. So anybody in a black hard hat is either one of our students or one of our crew. We take safety exceptionally seriously, and even though it's a cupcake, I couldn't allow that.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be. Okay, our next question.
Fun as it would be to drop a cupcake on Kat's head.
Yes. If we'd actually get that close. Next question is.
It was John's idea. It wasn't my idea.
It was.
Kat's about 6 feet away from me right now. So.
But she couldn't hear my idea.
So I'm going to get the blame for this.
Exactly. Next question. Why does one power cord get hot that's hooked up to powered speakers? There's 2 stacks of powered speakers. One of the power cords gets hot. The other one doesn't. That is feeding each stack. And both cables they're the same length, and they both look like they're the same thickness, but one gets hot and one doesn't. Any ideas?
Well, there's obviously got to be some difference here. Either the amperage draw from one of the speakers is substantially higher, which is unlikely, probably, if they're the same speaker and they're getting fed similar signal, or one of your cords has some issues, or it's a much smaller gauge, despite how it looks. Looks are very deceiving, and I think that's the problem. People look at a cable and say, well, this cable's black and this cable's black, and they look the same. And that goes back to the mic cable and DMX cable argument. But, what's inside is what really matters. And there could be some differences there. You could have something wrong with some of maybe the equipment as well.
Sure.
So, there's not an immediate answer to that other than obviously one of them is drawing more amperage or has some issues inside the cable.
Now, one of the first purchases I bought from you many years ago was
20 years ago.
Was a a 25-foot black
No.
extension cord. A 25-foot black extension cord. Did I lose you? I think we lost sound for a second there.
Yeah, I did. I'm back. I'm
Okay,
sorry. They
good.
did it again. So
Yep.
I don't know what's up with this interface, but
So
I didn't hear you. I heard 25 foot.
Yep, you had I believe they were Furman 25-foot black extension cords way back in the day. And of all the extension cords I've ever purchased, those are the only ones that I've had that long that still are used at gigs each and every weekend. Do you guys still have high-end extension cords available if a person wants to basically buy it and be done buying extension cords?
We do. We have some really nice rubber jacketed U.S. made, the same type of cables that are going to be used behind you here. Failures on tour are devastating. They're costly in terms of time. You can't carry an infinite amount of gear in a truck. So, quality obviously is very important on tour. And yes, we absolutely have very high quality. And unlike the cords that you bought, now the extension cords that we are selling in the reliable world, they have replaceable ends. They're not molded ends. And the reason for that is if you have a failure, you can fix it.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's not just, that one's dead. This one can be fixed and be back in service in a few minutes.
Oh, yes, which definitely, in my case, I haven't had that problem. I've had two of them, and they've been used.
Sure, avoiding the problem altogether is step one.
Yeah,
but, here again, when you think about something as critical, that has to be part of the process.
Yeah.
In fact, when we first came out with our NLFX Platinum Series cables, we injected the ends of the cable with an epoxy to seal it to really, protect that connector. And we sent it out to some of the tour guys, and they immediately kicked it back. And they said, no, get rid of that epoxy. And we said, why? And they said, because you can't fix the cable anymore. And we said, yeah, but you'll never need to. And they said, yes, you will. Sooner or later, yes, you will.
Something will happen.
Sure, a forklift will hit it, or gosh, it's just if we're still alive an hour from now, which we won't be, but if we are, this is just the beginning of chaos here. Be a lot more activity once the stage is in place.
Well, oh yes, there it goes. Nice. Question from Brandon here on the chat. So yes, now we're up to 14.
All right.
Is a USB mixer my answer to doing live streams? He wants to do something with OBS, which you've worked with OBS a little bit. Is a USB mixer?
Or an audio interface. I use a lot of the PreSonus interfaces. Right now I'm using the Shure Movi interface, although I'm not loving it at the moment. I'm not sure that it's the Shure interface. It could be something with my phone, but I would say, one of the little PreSonus interfaces, would be what I would use.
Yeah, they work.
A message. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, PreSonus has been but wouldn't that distort? No, generally, most of the time
we use it every week on our show.
Yeah, they don't distort. You just have to set them right and kind of play with it and have someone on the other end listening, so you can get things captured properly. Okay, next.
They're no different than the USB sound card in any mixer that you'd be considering. So.
Okay, so.
The ADDA conversion is going to be virtually identical at anything in that price point.
Okay, our next question. What color light or what filter would be the best to give a videographer the best lighting for shooting a wedding video when they're going to shoot their first dance? What color would you recommend for that, or maybe color filter for that situation?
I would say whatever the videographer wants, because obviously the camera is going to be white balanced, and it depends on the source of the light as well. What spectral information is contained in that light source is going to dictate heavily what that filter should be. So, and then of course, what they want from an artistic standpoint, and from the white balance of their cameras. So, I'm going to say there's no answer to that. It depends.
But it wouldn't be something to the effect of more blue, green.
Depends.
It can vary that much.
I think so.
Wow.
I'm not going to go out and tell a videographer what filter they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
I would have that conversation with them, and again, it's going to depend on the spectral information contained within the light source. So and I think probably very also much part of the equation would be what the bride and groom are wearing, and how those fabrics react. To that light source. So I'm going to say it depends.
And as we know, there's every wedding first dance needs to have the green laser spots right on the bride because that always looks good.
Well, absolutely.
Next question. Have you heard of a new Bluetooth type connection that would be more reliable than we're seeing right now with some of the wireless speaker technology?
Well, Bluetooth is constantly evolving. Obviously, I've lost track of what version we're on, 4 or 5. But Bluetooth is constantly evolving. Bluetooth should never really be regarded as a wireless speaker solution in my book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bluetooth, I think, is reliable up to 30 or 40 feet. And I know some of the new standards are saying 100 and 150 feet. But when you look at how that signal propagates, I'm going to say no. Even with the most robust standards, I don't think Bluetooth is a wireless speaker solution. Not yet. That's my opinion.
Certainly. Yeah. And of course, we saw quite a few speakers that have added Bluetooth to their speakers.
Sure. And for short range, if to something where you're 10 or 15 feet away, that's not an issue. But when people talk about wireless speakers, they're talking about satellite speakers and they're wanting to go some distance.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. It's convenient and it's easy and it's nice for short range applications when you're close by. It's very handy. If you just want to take your phone and Bluetooth some music to a speaker for a quick something or other. But, in the pro audio sense, when you've got a mixer and you've got the ability to connect copper cable, that's still number one.
Okay.
You don't see Bluetooth here, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but no, not so much. Not so much there. Next question. What brand of tablet would you recommend as you see more companies building apps for the entertainment industry?
I think it depends on your preference of OS. I use iOS, but there's a lot of people who really like the Android OS. It's just whatever suits you, I think.
Are the manufacturers...
And look to see if there are apps that are specific to that OS that you want or need.
That was the thing I was wondering, is because there are some companies that have only developed an Apple app, and I'm just wondering if that's going to become more prevalent, or if that was just kind of an anomaly within that company that the Apple one was made first.
I couldn't say. Obviously Apple's still the big dominant player, but Android is. I mean, now I'd say it's almost on par. It's almost a lot of parity there. So. I guess that's the answer, isn't it? I'd go look and see if the app is available for your platform, and if you have a preference, otherwise if you don't, then see which platform has the app, or see if there's a comparable app for the platform you want.
Okay, next question, which would be question. Let's see. This must be about question 11. I mean, 7. Who in their prime would have been the greatest lightsaber warrior?
Got to go with Darth Vader. I mean, Yoda's got some wicked moves we saw in episode 3, but Darth Vader is just such a powerful, imposing figure, and we saw in Rogue One he gets a little. We see kind of what he's capable of. I just got to go for. Darth Vader's my guy.
Okay, next question. You did a video from NAMM that showed a lot of noise coming from an outlet. Are all outlets like that? And why don't we hear that noise over our sound systems?
This is somewhat of a long and complicated answer. No, not all outlets are like that. Some are worse, some are better. Obviously, there was nothing special about that outlet. That was just power from the convention center. So there is a lot of AC line noise. Your loudspeakers and the systems that you have some filtering ability built in almost every case, but that signal still is existing in there, and it's still degrading the overall performance of the system, and your system's working against it. That box is basically designed to really take and amplify that noise to show you what's there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, obviously, if we plugged in a speaker and we heard that noise every time, it would be such an overwhelming problem. And the loudspeaker manufacturers are doing what they can to mitigate that. So I don't know if that answers the question adequately, but that box is designed to highlight that noise and show you what's there. And
the device that cleaned up the sound or the power.
Mm-hmm.
Now that particular box that was a Furman, wasn't it? A Furman box?
It was. Yep.
Okay. Now, that particular box, if I wanted to clean the power for my system, would I need to have one of those just on my board, or would I put one of those for my speakers also? Where would you put a device like that would help clean the power going into my sound system?
Well, more often than not, the signal is most vulnerable when it's at its smallest level in terms of both voltage and amperage. And of course, that's, mic level and line level. Once it becomes an amplified signal and it's going to the loudspeakers, we're not really that worried about it anymore. So I would start with the board and any head-end equipment, computer equipment, that sort of thing. And I wouldn't necessarily worry about amplifiers and speakers unless I had a really big problem. And then you certainly could. People say, well, don't put your speakers on those. Oh, you can, absolutely. It's just one of those things that generally at that point, we're probably okay. We're more susceptible with our mixing boards and that sort of thing.
And that device, if I'm not mistaken, if a person's interested in that, you guys
should reach out to me. Yes.
Yeah, get a hold of get you or Katie and mention, because I thought they were shipping that device was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we shipped a bunch this week. So.
Yeah, I thought I saw that because I had some lights I ordered from Katie, which came today. Yay! And then that's on my next round of things.
For that, by the way.
So, yes, they're actually running over there. I'm testing them out on the other side to make sure that everything is all synced and I don't lose my programming. Okay. All right. So we got that one. So we're down.
Peek behind me to see what's going on here. Sorry.
Yeah, no, they're getting there. They're putting stuff.
I don't know. It's
that's coffee break time. They're waiting.
Well, you know what? Again, we have the students here, and it's always slower with students. It's funny because, on one hand, you could say, well, you got all this free labor. Yeah. On the other hand, we staff more paid people, and they take a longer time because they're teaching. So we're definitely making an investment in these students.
Yeah.
It does slow things down substantially.
Speaking of purchasing, when you're setting up deals at NAMM, because we talked about that, are those deals just for the NAMM timeframe, or will some of the deals be when the products are released later in the year? Because I believe I saw some pre-order discounted pricing.
It depends on the manufacturer. Some deals expired at NAMM. That's it, all done. Sorry, that's what it is. That's their rule. Others are good until the end of February, and probably every range in between. So there are some NAMM deals still going, and there are some that have expired. By the way, that cool thing behind me right now, that's for removing glass from a hockey arena. It's kind of cool. It's got these giant suction cups. But yeah. So, and these panes of glass are crazy heavy.
Oh, they've got to be. Aren't they about like 3/4 inch thick or something?
Yeah, something like that. They're pretty.
Meant to take a lot of abuse from hockey players flying into it.
Well, yeah, think about that. They're tempered glass. I think they're $1,000 a piece or something. I don't know what it is.
The last question was also another purchasing question. The person can't make it to Mobile Beat Las Vegas this year, and you guys are going to have a booth. You always have great show specials and such. Is there a way that they could take advantage of any show specials, even though they're not at the show?
Yeah, here again, and they're removing the hockey dashers right next to me. Here again, some show specials are good only at the show, but many of our manufacturers allow us to offer some of these specials to people who aren't attending at the show. So I think the best thing there is just to ask.
And that when you're at the show, they can still call back to the headquarters there at NLFX Pro, and they can find out all that information.
Absolutely. Yep, we'll still have plenty of staff back at the headquarters, and they'll have all that information readily available to them. We obviously make sure we share that information. And in many cases, because our customer service people back in the office are entering orders from the show, so we're electronically transmitting them back to the office securely and safely, of course. And the office is then getting those orders entered while we're still at the show. And
getting things shipped. Because I think if I remember, it was one of the years somebody bought something, I think the first day of the trade show, and I think it met them or beat them home. Yeah,
they showed up, came home, and it was waiting for them.
Yeah.
Now, we always listen. A lot of people will tell us, we know that obviously you're not home because you're at the show. So if people say, listen, I don't want this to show up, we definitely pay attention to that.
Let's see. Jimmy, I was wondering if you were making plans for DJ Expo, if you were going to be going out there.
I don't know what's going to happen with DJ Expo yet, to be honest with you.
It's too far out yet.
That's a long ways away. I've got a lot going on, with, I don't know, another dozen trade shows before that and concerts and speaking engagements. And I know this is going to sound crazy to an audience of DJs, but I'm not even thinking about DJ Expo. In fact, I forgot there was one for the time being.
I know how
I'll circle back on it, though. Don't worry. Certainly Kat and Katie will be there, and I believe we're representing Avante again and some other leading brands, but whether or not I'll be there is yet to be seen. I guess we'll just see what happens.
Oh, we got to shut that off. There we go. I found the YouTube video. It finally showed up.
Yay!
Yay! Right as it's been going for a little while, unbeknownst to me. Well, Ben, that is my questions, and it looks like we handled those, and we handled the ones in the
Star Wars, no wrestling.
There was a Star Wars. Yeah, there was no wrestling. I was just making that up.
I'm curious. I'm curious about the wrestling question.
No, there wasn't one.
Oh, you just made that up.
I just made that up. Yeah, there was a Star Wars one that came through.
Oh, okay.
And that was the
right.
lightsaber. So we've gotten through all 14 or 15 of our questions that came out from our show today. So yeah, now it's time for you to get back to work and go make sure that show's ready to go for tomorrow night.
Ready to go.
There's the hard hat. So
yeah.
Thank you guys for being with us tonight. If you have any questions that you'd like us to cover in a future show, please put those down in the comments down below or message myself or Ben, and we will definitely get those on a future show. Or you can go out to the Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe Facebook page or Ask Ben Stowe. There's a lot of different places to catch up with us, and we'll definitely tackle those questions later. Ben, you go out there and get things set up, and we will talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, John.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Newmark, and DJNTV Insiders.